How you guys feeling today? Good. Hey, believe it or not, this is my first time preaching since February 9th. What? Don't clap yet. You don't know how it's going to turn out. We are in, as I said, week 3 of our series, It's Not About Me. I want to welcome everyone, of course, in the room, those watching online, listening to the podcast. My name is Ricky, and I want to get started. I want to jump into today's message by sharing a story, okay? A few years back, December of 2022, a friend and I were meeting, actually right over here on the Upper East Side at Stella and Fly, one night for a drink, catching up, talking through some different things we were going through in life, and we both were kind of talking about how in the next year, in the upcoming year, which would have been 2023, we wanted to do something that would challenge us and kind of push us to do something beyond what we were accustomed to or what maybe we had done previously in our lives. And so I decided to kind of pitch an idea to him, and I proposed to him that I would go, I was like, hey, would you ever want to do a Spartan run? And a Spartan run is something that I've always wanted to do, but if you're unfamiliar with a Spartan run, let me kind of explain what a Spartan run is. A Spartan run is an obstacle course race, but it's not like any type of obstacle course race. They're known, or kind of infamous, if you will, for their terrain, the types of courses that like you run on. The terrain tends to be pretty challenging, pretty difficult, arduous, kind of not necessarily like a track, okay? But it's not just the course itself. There are different distances that you can run, so the distance itself poses a challenge. You can run something like a 5K, which is just a touch over 3 miles, a 10K over 6 miles, a 21K, which is like a half marathon distance. But they also have Spartan Ultras, which are a 50-kilometer distance, about 32 miles. Or for those who are insane, they have what they call a 48-hour death race, which is just a race that keeps going until you find out you made it to the finish line. And so the distances are another set of challenges, okay? But then the course, the distance, but then they have, of course, obstacles, because that's what makes them an obstacle course race. And these courses, depending on the distance, have varying levels or numbers of obstacles. A 5K might have 20 obstacles, 10K like 30, and down the line 50K like 60 obstacles. A death race, I think that's the obstacle, is to beat death. And so they just, vary in the number of obstacles that you have to do. And as if all that wasn't bad enough, if you do not complete an obstacle, then you have to pay a penalty. And the penalty is usually either you have to run a longer distance or have to do burpees, oftentimes on a gravel pit, and have to do a minimum of 15 burpees and, all the bit that comes with that. So anyway, I always want to do one of those. And so I was talking with my friend Ben, and I was like, well, would you want to do this with me? And he was like, yeah, okay. So we decided that we were going to do it. Now I'll show you kind of like some of the obstacles so you can kind of visualize. Okay, this first one is what they call the Hercules hoist. It's a 100-pound sandbag tied to a rope on a pulley system that you have to hoist 20 feet up into the air. There's a barbed wire crawl with actual barbed wire. This one is actually nice because it's on grass. But 3 of the 4 races that I've run, it's been on gravel. And so you're crawling on gravel underneath actual barbed wire. There's a javelin throw, because it wouldn't be a Spartan if you didn't throw a javelin into some hay barrel kind of thing. Now, all these are stuck in there. I guarantee you this was before the race started. Because watching people who have never thrown a javelin try to throw a javelin, you've got to set, best practice, stay 15 feet away from that person. Okay, another one I think we have is they all conclude with a fire jump. So there's this kind of 3-foot fire thing that you have to jump over or whatever, and you get to the finish line. So these are kind of some of the things that you have to do. So I decided with Ben, or Ben decided with me, that we were going to do one together. And in December 2022, we committed, but we said we don't want to do a 5K because it feels like we could kind of wing it, and so maybe we should push ourselves and do a 10K. That way you have to train. You can't just show up and hope you're going to make it. And so we were looking at different courses, different races that we were going to try to do, and turns out there's one in the Poconos in Palmerton, Pennsylvania, about 3 hours away from here. And so we're like, let's do that one. In the summer of 2023, was in July. Well, we signed up, we committed to the race, we showed up to the race, but little did we know until we showed up that actually the Palmerton 10K is their 3rd most difficult course on their entire circuit. So we went in, but we also went in the deep end straight away. And get this, just to kind of illustrate how difficult it is. That was my first Spartan race, and I finished I wrote down the time exactly, 4 hours, 18 minutes, and 29 seconds. 4 hours, 18 minutes, 29 seconds. They call it a 10K, but they also say it's like Spartan miles. So it ended up being a total distance of 8 miles, 3,500 feet elevation gain, and like 32 obstacles. In 4 hours, 18 minutes, you think, wow, that's kind of a long time. That's like basically running like 2 miles an hour. So not very fast. But out of 3,500 participants, I finished in the top 48%, meaning half of the people who signed up finished after 4 hours and 18 minutes and 29 seconds, which shows like the degree of difficulty. I remember crossing that finish line and thinking to myself, like, this was the most physically difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And at the same time, I thought, I got to do this again. A glutton for punishment I am. And so I decided I was going to sign up and do it again. And so in 24, I signed up, not just for the 10K, but I also signed up for a 5K with a group of guys from Meta. I signed up for the 10K. I did that. And then I decided, you know, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do like the trifecta and do the 21K in Killington, Vermont, where it originated. And that is the toughest course they have. And I did the half marathon, the Beast, at 21 kilometers, a 6,000 feet elevation gain, like just crazy numbers. Did that. By the way, when I went back to Palmerston, top 20%. Shout out to your boy. And for some sadistic reason, decided I also wanted to give it my shot at the 50K. So in November of this past year, I signed up for, or I completed, I should say, the Spartan Ultra 50 kilometers in South Carolina with a friend of mine, and it was like a 9 or 10 hour monstrosity. I mean, it was just insane. And so did all these things. And I've never really talked about this publicly. So if you would just indulge me for a moment, let me just share some photos of me on the course, okay? Okay, you know, like I want to be about it, not just talk about it, okay? So here's like some rings. I'm like hanging out on these rings, Olympic rings over here. There's a sandbag carry. This was in our ultra. Okay, so we had to carry a 60-pound sandbag, a half mile. And so that was on the ultra. What else? Oh, there's a dunk wall. You have to go under, like, so you come out of this muddy, nasty water. There's some guys who are signed up to do this spring one with me in April, and they're probably like having, you know, second questions or guesses of like, is this really what I want to do? And then one more. This is like the Atlas ball carry, which is like a 100-pound stone ball, and that's what you have to kind of carry, like, you know, 25 feet or something like that or whatever. Anyway, we can move on to the next thing so that people aren't looking at me. Just go back one more time. Just go back to that last one. Yeah, that's me. Your boy. It's your pastor. All right. But it's not about me. It's not about me. So we're going to go back to the title slide. I share all this because here's what struck me. One of the things that surprised me about these Spartan races, I've run a half marathon before. I've run other 5Ks. I've run a relay race out in the Pacific Northwest. I've done other kind of competitive type of things. I played collegiate basketball, and so I've done, you know, events and had experiences where I'm pushing my body or I'm challenging or trying to compete or accomplish something. But one of the things that surprised me about the Spartan races and the Spartan culture is how vocally encouraging and supportive all of the athletes and spectators are of one another. Like, I mean, without question, without exemption or exception, everyone is cheering on one another. I'm talking about the spectators who are kind of there to watch and are there because a friend or a family member is participating. I'm talking about the strangers on the course who signed up to help volunteer and help make sure that you don't get lost in the woods somewhere. I'm talking about the other racers, whether you're running past them or they're running past you. Everyone is encouraging and supportive. It doesn't matter where you're at on the course. It doesn't matter what obstacle you're up against. It doesn't matter how fast you're running your race or how slow you're running your race. It doesn't matter if you've stopped because you feel like you can no longer continue running your race. Everyone, without exception, is there cheering you on. And it's like everyone knows, hey, we're all in this difficult situation together. We understand what every person has to endure to get through this, and we're going to cheer you on, and we're going to celebrate. And so what you have are thousands of people literally gassing each other up, hyping one another up, celebrating their progress, understanding what's going on and saying, hey, great job. Hey, you can do this. Hey, keep going. Hey, do you need something? Hey, lean on me. Stand on my, like literally when you have to climb the wall, literally stand on my knee or stand on my shoulder. Let me give you a shoulder so that you can step on my back to get over this hurdle. And it's wild. And I'll tell you, it feels amazing. It feels amazing to have complete and total strangers cheering you on, celebrating you, encouraging you, and kind of moving you forward on this course. And then one day, the thought kind of dawned on me, or the thought kind of fell upon me. It occurred to me, why is it that Christians aren't this understanding and supportive or encouraging of one another? Why aren't Christians this encouraging, supportive, and understanding of one another? I mean, how is it that a group of runners who don't know one another, who owe nothing to one another, who have no incentive or reason to benefit or to gain by offering encouragement, how is it that those people can be so vocally and intuitively encouraging, offer a word of encouragement, cheer someone else on, lift them up? How is it that they do this? And honestly, when you step onto like the premises, you realize they just do this so naturally. But Christians, way too many Christians, don't even take account, don't even consider, wouldn't even lend a hand or offer a word, and yet seemingly are inept in this area, unable to offer even a snippet of encouragement to one another. Now, I'll take it a step further. As I said, you drive onto the premises, oftentimes a ski resort or someplace out, kind of some wooded farm area, and there are people lining up, and you get in, you're pulling in a vehicle, and there are people cheering you on. There are people welcoming you. Hey, you're going to do amazing today. You're going to crush it today. And they're not making a judgment based off your body size or your physique. They just believe that you've shown up and you've got something to offer. What if the church was that way? Why is it that when people show up here, we're not the same? That, hey, you showed up. You've got something to offer. You have something of value. You're going to do incredible things in this world. You're going to make a dent in this world. You're going to lift some people out of the mud. You're going to do some things of significance and of consequence. And instead, people walk into church, and it's kind of like we shrink back from them, and they feel like, does that mean I'm not welcome or accepted or invited into this space? I mean, it really doesn't make any sense to me. Why aren't we vocal with our encouragement? Why aren't we understanding of their difficulties? Why aren't we quick to celebrate their progress? And as I said, it doesn't make sense, especially because we've been instructed to do otherwise. I'll show it to you. Hebrews 10:25. You can take a photo of this. You can open up in your Bible. You can look it up on your phone. Hebrews 10:25. This is what the writer of Hebrews said. And let us not neglect our meeting together, as we are doing now, meeting in person, meeting together online. Let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do. But get this, encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. Let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but let's encourage one another. Now, the word encourage, our English word encourage, comes from a Latin transliteration, and it means to instill courage. But the Greek word for encourage is a word parakaleo. It's actually two words. Para means with, and kaleo means to call. And so it literally means to call beside. To encourage is to invite one in, is to call to one's side. And to encourage one another means, hey, I'm bringing you in close. I'm bringing you in next to me. I'm bringing you by my side so that the position and the proximity will instill courage in you. This is the exhortation, and dare I say, the encouragement that God has instructed us to offer and to give others. And that is what we're going to be speaking about today as we engage these one another's. The next kind of implementation or iteration of this series is this: to encourage one another. To encourage one another. Now, I'll be, I think, honest and fair, but I think about this nearly every week. And I think about this instruction and this prompt and this what if kind of situations. What if people walked in and they felt this? What if they experienced? I think about it nearly every single week, because every single week people show up to this place, to this church, for the very first time. And in fact, The last time we had a Sunday without, I'll share the date and then you'll see this in a second. The last time we had a Sunday without someone here for the very first time, get this, was November 13th, not 2024, not 2023, November 13th, 2022. I did the math. That is 123 Sundays in a row where we've had someone show up to Meta Church for the very first time. And I'll modify it because today we have people here for the first time. So today marks 124 Sundays that people have turned up to Meta Church for the very first time. And you know what I know about those people, or many of those people? Even if I've never met them, even if I've never had a conversation with them, even if I've never spoken to them, even if they don't know anything about me, they just kind of stumbled into our church thinking it was a Facebook gathering, and they're like, oh, let's just see what this is about. Like, here's what I know about many of those people. Many of those people show up here, and they bring with them fears. They bring with them doubts. They bring with them questions. They bring with them uncertainties. Some of them oftentimes bring shame, and not just a little bit of shame, but loads and weight of shame. They're showing up with assumptions about Jesus, God, Christians, church. They're showing up with expectations, what it's going to be like, what it's not going to be like. Who am I going to be received as? Who am I not going to be received at? Many times they're showing up with all of these things based off of a previous experience elsewhere, or a previous story or narrative that they've heard or received elsewhere. And yet, get this, they still show up. They still show up despite the fears, despite the doubts, despite the shame, despite the uncertainties, despite the questions, despite the expectations, despite the assumptions. They still have the courage to show up here. And the good news is that I think, on the whole, we as a church community do a pretty good job of welcoming people in, inviting them to be a part of what we're doing, making them feel like they matter, doing our best to make them feel like there's a space here where they could belong if they choose to or want to belong. And so for my vantage point and from my perspective, and not just my vantage point and my perspective, but what I'm told and what's communicated and relayed back to me from people who were once new to Meta Church, is that we do a pretty good job at that. Now, we may not be Spartan level yet, okay? Where we're like, hey, someone walks in, come on, man, you're awesome, you're doing amazing, you're gonna crush this. And they're like, I just want a donut, and I'm not even here for church, to be honest. You laugh, but I see it happen every time I preach. They're like, what are you in the back? I'm like, you're sitting here looking at me, and I'm looking at this guy or girl come in and grab something and then walk out the door. So I guess sometimes we don't have what they want because they leave empty-handed, and they're like, oh, all the good ones are gone. Where am I at? Yeah, we may not be Spartan level yet. But when I think about our church, and I think about the way that so many of you are intentional and thoughtful about connecting with people, about encouraging people, about being a support to someone, of just trying to let them know, hey, we see you, we care about you, and we'll be here for you. So many people at Meta Church are so consistently good at this. And it makes a world of difference. And when I think about that, what it does, I can't help but feel like the same way the Apostle Paul must have felt like when he wrote these words in 1 Thessalonians 5. Check this out. He wrote this to the Christians in the church at Thessalonica, and he says this: so encourage each other and build each other up. Notice this: just as you are already doing. Hey, you're already doing these things. You're already living this out. You're doing such a tremendous job of encouraging people, of welcoming them in, of bringing them into the fold. Hey, keep doing this. Let me encourage you to keep doing what you're already doing. And I feel the same way as the pastor of the church. Like, hey, I know there's room for us to grow. I know we have opportunity. We're going to talk about some things here in a second. But listen, we're doing a tremendous job of this. Let's not lose that. Listen, church and a fellowship of Christian believers should be the most encouraging place to show up to, not the most discouraging place to show up to. Man, I was saying this at dinner the other night to some friends, and we were talking about church, and I was like, sometimes you go and it's so like dry, and you're like, it makes you question, like, is Jesus still dead? Man, he's alive. We have something to celebrate. We have something to rejoice in. We have something to partake in. And we get to invite others to experience that. And so in the spirit of what we're already doing, I want to exhort you and I want to kind of edify you and I want to build you up to continue encouraging one another. I want to share with you 4 practical ways that you can continue to encourage one another. Things that you can do no matter who you are, no matter what experience you have or don't have, no matter how long you've been a part of this church or another church. Things that every one of us can walk into. And I'll start with this first thing. Instead of tearing them down, tearing people down, build them up. Instead of tearing people down, build them up. Sadly, many churches and many Christians have become far more known for what they're against than being known by what they're for. Let me remove the what. Many Christians have become known for who they are against rather than being known by who they are for. And part of the reason for that is because too many believers, too many Christians, too many people professing the name of Jesus have used their platform, have used their voice. It doesn't have to be a platform like this. I'm talking about you got social media, you have a platform. You have a team of people you work with, you have a platform. You have neighbors that live around you, you have a platform. You have a family you're leading, you have a platform. And too many people who profess the name of Jesus have used their platform and their voice to quickly tear down others. They've used their words on social media. They've used their words on blog posts or comments. They've used sermons or highlighted or taken in a sermon to share somewhere else and distribute. Can you believe this is what so-and-so is saying? And they've even been... Not many, because here's what I realized, that it's a lot easier to have Twitter fingers than it is to have actual courage. But there are some who have the audacity to even use their words to another person's face, to tear them down. Oh, you don't believe like us? Then you don't belong here. Oh, you have questions? Then you don't have enough faith. You live differently than I live? God has no love for you. God has no grace for you. You don't want to take this seriously, this Jesus thing, this God thing, then you're never going to amount to anything. You're struggling. It's probably your fault. And those are, I'll be honest, those are things that are familiar, but they're actually quite surface. Because there are people who, they don't stop there, right? It's like, it's within them. They want to, assassinate and annihilate a person's character. And they live for that. And it's so weird. Let me just say, it doesn't matter if you're in this room, if you're watching online or listening to the podcast. If that's you, grow up. It's so immature. It's so small of you. And more than being small or immature, it's unbiblical. Don't even get me started on whether or not it's Christ-like. It's not even in the Bible. In fact, this is what the Apostle Paul instructed us to do with our words. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. Notice this, though. But only what is helpful for building others up according to not your needs, but their needs. That it may benefit those who listen. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Now, this is where it gets personal, because it's easy to point the finger at everyone else, isn't it? It's easy to say, well, that church or that person or that platform or that influencer or that parent or that family member. But what about us? What about me, Ricky? Do you use your words? Here's some questions for you. These won't be up on the screen, but you can write these down. Do you use your words to tear people down or to build them up? If someone were to say, or kind of a third party come and ask, like your closest friends, your closest family members, the people who know you best, if they were to say, hey, how does Ricky use his words when he talks to others? Would they say that, well, he tends to kind of tear them down, cut them down? Or would they say he builds them up, he strengthens them? Here's another question. Do you allow unwholesome talk to come out of your mouth? unwholesome talk to come out of your mouth. The first prompt is don't let any of it come out of your mouth. Hey, you want to be on the track to building others up? Let's start by removing the stuff that's unwholesome. The way you talk about others, the way you speak about something you disagree with, the way you kind of criticize work or assignments that maybe aren't really feeling like they're in your best interest. I'm not saying you can't dissent and that you can't have a differing opinion. I'm talking about the how, not the what. Here's the third question. Do you offer what is helpful and beneficial to others? See, a lot of us are really good about offering what's helpful to me. Hey, if you do these things, it helps me out, so maybe you should do these things. Hey, if I speak this thing, this person follows my advice or my suggestions, then it makes me feel better about me, that my word is more valid or authoritative or whatever it might be. But do you use your words to offer what is helpful and beneficial to others, not simply for yourself? Okay, that's first action. Here's the second action. You want to continue encouraging one another. Instead of pushing them away, bring them in. Now, for those who have been around Meta for a while, you've heard Krista share this story in the past, but years back, we moved to South Carolina in the fall of 2014, and our marriage was in shambles. It was a debacle. It was just, we were literally trying to patch things back together and see if there was something that we could rebuild with. And one of the things that we knew and understood or felt was that, we need to be in a Christian community, in a small group community. We were part of a church, but it was a quite large church. And so we needed to be a part of a small group, maybe 8 or 10 people that could kind of walk with us and help us in this way. Now, we moved from New York City to a small little town in South Carolina where there's more people in this neighborhood than there literally was in the whole county that we lived in. And I'm not exaggerating. But we joined this small group, and for the most part, it was pretty good. But then there was a night we showed up to group, and we were meeting at this one family's home, and there was, maybe 8 or 9 of us or so. And many of the people in that group had already known each other and had been kind of friends for a long time. But the group leader mentioned someone that we didn't know, a couple, I guess, that maybe we used to be a part of the group or was a part of the church at some point. They lived in a different state. But basically, he said something to the fact, I just got news that so-and-so and so-and-so are getting divorced. And it just broke my heart, which I agree. That breaks my heart, and it breaks God's heart as well. And so they were talking about that, but then he kind of moved to this prompt, and he was like, I was just thinking, I don't know how that happens, and I don't know how that could ever happen. And so, we're all like couples in here and marriages, and so, what do you think leads to that, and what do you think happens? Because I don't see how you could go from like this, where everything's great, to all of a sudden one day you're like, I want a divorce. And I'll spare you the responses because they were quite humorous. I'll share this one. Someone's like, maybe you got to go on a date night. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it. That's going to solve all marriage problems. You think the person I want to divorce is the person I want to sit at an expensive restaurant with? No kidding, no way. Anyway, and so we were like on the brink of divorce just 3 months prior to this. So Krista spoke up and was like, I know. I know how this happens because that's where we're at in our marriage. And when I tell you that she spoke these things and said these things out loud, that everyone in the room literally did like this, as if our marital problems were contagious, as if they were infectious, as if that even being in the same room posed a risk to them. They literally pushed away. Little did we know that physical reaction in that moment was actually an indication of a spiritual and emotional reaction they were having as well. And unfortunately, in 20 years of pastoring, I know that Krista and I are not the only ones who have ever experienced this. I know that we're not the only ones who have ever encountered this, to be in a room with other Christians who you think are going to support you and walk with you in your darkest or lowest or most challenging moments, and for them to just simply push themselves away. Maybe you've not encountered it by way of physical reaction, but you've been left on red a time or two, haven't you? All of a sudden, the responses grow fewer and further between, where no longer that person, hey, checking in on you it's not even hey. We've experienced that. We've encountered that. We've felt that. But let me pose another question to you. What if we as a church community flipped the script? What if we decided that instead of pushing away from people or pushing them away, we're going to actually bring them in, that we're going to lean into the problems, that we're going to lean into the challenges, that we're going to lean into the hardships. We're going to say, hey, I'll walk through the mud with you. I'll stand in the gap for you. Here's my shoulder. Walk over me to get onto the other side of what your problem is. What if we became that kind of church? What if in the midst of difficulties or frustrations or disparaging moments or discouraging moments where you say, hey, this person knows better than this, but rather than pushing them away because I feel like they should do better, I'm going to say, fine, I'm going to come back here with you. I'm going to grab you by the collar if I have to, and I'm going to drag you forward and say, we're walking in this together. I'm bringing you in instead of pushing you out. I mean, that's literally what the word encourage means. And here, let me take it a step further. It's not just what the word encourage means. It's what God has done for each and every one of us. Again, I'll use the Apostle Paul's words, Ephesians 2:13. But now you have been united with Christ Jesus. Notice the language. Once you were far away from God, but he didn't keep you there. He says, no, now you have been brought near to him through the blood of Christ. Jesus has brought us in. God has said, hey, you were far from me, but I didn't keep you far. I brought you in by paying the price with my own son. Imagine if Meta Church became known as the place where when people mess up, when they screw up, when life bombs and flips on its head, that in this community, in this neighborhood, in this pocket of the Upper East Side, or across the whole city for that matter, people said, hey, my life is in shambles, but I want to go to that church because I know they're going to bring me in. Man, church is so often the last place people in that circumstance want to show up to. But what if we flipped the script? What if we changed the narrative? What if we said, hey, this is a place that when you show up, will bring you in. When you come busted, bruised, beaten, broken, we're not going to hold up an X and say that's someone else's problem. We're going to show you our heart and say it's our problem. This is the power and the potential that I believe is represented in this room and in this church. Those are the first two things to keep in mind. Let me share a third action for you when it comes to encouraging one another. Instead of distressing them, comfort them. Now, this might sound obvious, so I'll explain it, okay? But unlike the first 2 points and counterpoints that I've shared, where there's a bit of intention behind these, this distressing them, I think most often happens unintentionally. I think it happens accidentally. This is one area where I think the majority of people who do this don't realize they're adding distress to someone. Now, let me define distress for you, okay? This is how Merriam-Webster defines distress. To distress is to add, get this, greater strain or difficulty. Greater strain or difficulty. Imagine for a moment that I'm going to run a Spartan race, and Krista comes up. I'm at the starting line. I'm ready to get through this thing, and Krista comes up and says, hey, babe, can you hold my purse while I go sit over there and wait for you at the finish line? I don't even got to tell you what I would say. Some of you already know. The look on my face, like, you kidding me? I'm about to go run something difficult, and you want to add to my difficulty? You want me to carry something that's unnecessary, that's not going to help me, that's not going to support me? You want me to take something on this journey that's only going to be a hindrance rather than of benefit? And so many times, I think this is what we unintentionally do to others going through challenges, going through difficulties, going through frustrations or difficult experiences. We add to their distress, or we create distress by adding to their strain. And again, we don't mean to. But I'll share, for instance, someone shares something they're going through. And rather than offering a word of encouragement or support, we sit silently. Worse, we say, well, it's not as bad as so-and-so. And again, our intention isn't to discourage. Our intention is to, well, maybe give context, but that's not what they need. That's not the comfort they need. That's not the comfort they're seeking. Or maybe someone shares something and offers it, and we, don't acknowledge it, we minimize it, but maybe we then start to think, well, hey, just get past it. Just change. Just do something different. Be different. Have you thought about doing something different? Person's like, yes. or this situation. Something happens to someone. They go through a circumstance, and I'm going to use the word victim here. They're the victim of the circumstance, okay? Now, it could be that they're the victim by their own doing. Their choices, their actions, their behavior, their decisions have led them into this place where now they got to deal with the consequences. Understandable and understood, okay? But something happens to someone, and then they come to you or approach you as a voice of comfort, seeking comfort, as a voice to encourage them, and instead you just blame them for everything that's happened. Now let me ask you this, if someone is the root cause or the reason why all these things are bad, don't you think they already likely know they're the reason why these things are all bad? So us pummeling them and saying, hey, it's your fault actually, does that seem to add to their distress, or does it offer comfort? Again, you can speak the truth in a loving way. You can honor people. You can build them up. And you can do all of that without adding to their distress. And that's why you have to be intentional and thoughtful with your encouragement and thoughtful about comforting other people. And again, I'm just kind of reading the Apostle Paul's words because the one another's are found oftentimes in the letters to the church. But the Apostle Paul just pastored and shepherded people in such a significant way, such a thoughtful way. And he even answers this question for us, like, how do you actually comfort people without adding to their stress? Look at what he wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 1. He said, he, speaking of God, comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. See, you provide comfort to others by empathizing with them, by sharing about similar experiences, get this, free from comparison, and by pointing to God's faithfulness in your own life. Empathize with them, share about similar experiences, and point to God's faithfulness. You want to be a voice of comfort? And you want to be free from adding distress to someone else, this is how you do it. Now, there's one more kind of action that I'll share with you. It's the fourth and final action. And instead of being indifferent, urge them. If you want to encourage one another, instead of being indifferent, urge them. One of the pitfalls of life is that we all think, no matter who you are, no matter how old or how young, we all think we can do it tomorrow. I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll do that thing tomorrow. It doesn't matter what it is, homework, laundry, phone call, text message, email, business meeting, one-on-one, whatever it might be, I'll do that tomorrow. The problem is, as we all know at the same time, is that there's no assurance that any of us actually have tomorrow. Not only that, there's no assurance that what we're holding off or pushing off till tomorrow will actually be there for us tomorrow. And that's why the author of Hebrews, again, spoke and challenged the Christians to live with a level of urgency. And we'll go back to Hebrews chapter 10 where I started this message. Hebrews 10, and we're going to read verses 24 and 25, okay? So verse 24, the writer says this, let us consider how we may spur one another. Pause. I'm in the city. I grew up in the city. I'm from here. Do we have any horse riders in the room? Okay, there's Lauren's back here. Shout out to Lauren. So we have some people ride. You know what a spur is? A spur is something you use to motivate the horse to move. I've ridden a horse one time, and it was about as hillbilly as you can imagine. But I was like, how do I get the horse to stop? I'm not really interested in getting this horse to move any further. But he says, let's spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. And then notice this, again, kind of urgency at the end. And all the more as you see the day approaching. Hey, We've got to act on this. We've got to move on this. It's time. We don't have much time. We can't put this off till tomorrow. We can't wait till the next day. Hey, we've got to take action and initiative, and we've got to motivate. We've got to spur one another into this because time is of the essence. The author of Hebrews is saying, listen, you don't have time to put this on pause. You don't have time to delay. You've got to take initiative with the things of God and the ways of God today. And so let me spur you forward. Let you spur another one forward, and let's all move together in this work collectively because that's what God is inviting us into. You see, one of the greatest ways that you and I can encourage each other is to urge one another in the things of God and in the ways of God. Listen, if I say I care about you, then I should not be indifferent about the things of God in your life. Well, that's Gus's problem. Shout out to Gus. That's Adam's problem. They'll figure it out. They'll sort it out. And if I indulge myself with photos, let me just indulge myself with my personality a little bit, okay? Because I often hear some sort of feedback at times that'll come back and it's like, well, you're like really intense. And I'm like, yeah, because we got to move. We've got to act, and if I care about you, I'm not just going to let you sit here in the dust. We've got to go. We've got to move, and I'm willing to go with you, but I need you to go. And so, yeah, I'm going to be intense because I want to urge us forward. I want to move in this together. I don't want you to miss out on the things that God has for you. If I care about you, I cannot be indifferent about you. So I have to encourage you. I have to urge you to live in the things. Listen, hey, you got that habit that's holding you up and hanging you up. When are you going to let go of that? Do it today. Hey, when are you going to put your family first? You've been prioritizing your work and your career for decades. When are you going to start focusing on your family and saying, hey, enough is enough. They matter more than anything else. Do it today. Hey, when are you going to prioritize your relationship with Jesus instead of keeping him as kind of like an accessory to your life? Why don't you make him the focal point of your life and do that decision, make that commitment today? Hey, when are you going to start giving your life to Jesus? You've been coming to church for a year. You've been showing up. You've been coming. You've been hanging out with believers, and you're just kind of lingering around. When are you going to make Jesus the Lord of your life? Do it today. Hey, when are you going to step into your calling? The world needs you to live into this. The world needs you to fulfill your purpose. Why are you waiting? Why are you delaying? We're all hanging on you moving forward in this area. Step into it today. Hey, man, I see you've got great significance and great purpose, and I refuse to let you waste it or squander it. So I'm going to walk alongside of you and say, hey, let's figure this out together. Let's walk in this. Let's lean into this, and let's do it today. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you're showing love to that person. You did an exceptional job of doing that. You built them up. You encouraged them. You should do more of that. Don't wait till the next opportunity. Take initiative and do it willingly. Do it intentionally. Do it because that is how God has marked you. Do it today. Hey, listen, I'm glad you're in church today. I'm glad you've been showing up. I'm glad I've been seeing more and more of you. I just want you to know this is the beginning, not the ending. This is not the culmination or the climax, but this is the start of something significant, and I'm glad you're here today. Listen, we have to urge one another, and we need to do so in a motivating, building up, loving, and encouraging way. This is who God has called us to be. This is what God is inviting us into. And it only happens when you decide it's not about me. It's about one another. It's about encouraging one another. And as we close, I want to give you an opportunity to put these things into practice, to live these things out, to lean into these things. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 minutes or so real time to do it right now. In fact, we'll put them up on the screen. There's these 4 things, these 4 actions that I shared. You'll see them up here. And in just a second, I'm going to give you a moment to step into this and to begin walking into this, to begin practicing these things. So what you're going to do, you're going to stand up. Everyone's going to stand to your feet. And you're going to look around. There's people standing next to you. There's people behind you. And we're going to give you 5 minutes. Offer words of encouragement. Hey, I love the way you're dressed. I'm glad you're here. Hey, what's your name? I've never met you, but I'm looking forward to meeting you. Hey, I've been seeing you coming for a few months now, and we haven't had the chance to connect. Like, what's your name? What's your story? How did you find Meta Church? What are you working on in life right now that you're excited about, that motivates you? Okay? So take time. Do it now. All right, we'll have everyone make their way back to their seats. You make your way back to your seats. We'll cut the music as we wrap up. Listen, was that easy or what? A little uncomfortable at first, but it's good, isn't it? Yeah, you can give yourselves a round of applause. You can encourage each other in this way. Because here's the point. It feels incredible to have people, again, encouraging you, cheering you on, celebrating you, gassing you up is the language that's used today. It's like they're gassing you up. It fills you up. And maybe just for a moment, we became a little bit more Spartan-esque in our encouragement. But let me, again, challenge you. Let's not let this be an anomaly or a one-off type of thing. All of you, have the potential, and not just the potential, but be very clear, the power to cultivate this culture at Meta Church. A culture that encourages one another no matter who the one another is, no matter where the one another's from, no matter what the one another is going through, no matter what the one another or where the one another is headed. That power is entrusted to each of you. And so it's up to each of you to live like that, to walk in it, and to offer it. Can we do that, church? Man. We're going to close out with a time of prayer. I'm going to invite the team up. Let's stand to our feet. We're going to close with one final worship song. As we do, I'm just going to pray for us. Father, I thank you for your word. I thank you for the ways that you encourage us. I thank you for the things that you speak, the ways that you offer yourself to us. Lord, as we come before you as a congregation, as a community, God, we come not just eager to receive encouragement from you, but eager to offer encouragement to one another. As I said, Lord, I thank you that we do a pretty good job of this. And I pray and I ask that you would increase our capacity to offer encouragement to others. And that like a snowball rolling down a hill, it would just grow and amass and build, that people would be swept into this wave of encouragement. And that they would continuously and freely offer it to others. So Lord, may we walk in that, may we live in it, and may we offer it. Pray this in Christ's name. Amen.